All right, we're going to get started here in the second part of lesson 5. And we were talking about area models with algebra and kind of incorporating some of the letters and those kind of things. So if you want to open up to page 23 of your workbook, we'll get going through these. All right, so here number 26. It says complete the empty spaces in each area model and corresponding equation. Okay, so here we have 2 times some number. Okay, so they got 2 times something equals 60. Well, that would be 30, and we can divide that. 60 divided by 2 is 30. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So it looks like they're taking 2 times 32. All right, 15x divided by 5. Well, 15 divided by 5 is 3, and I need that x there. So we got a 3x plus 50 divided by 5 would be 10. So that's 3x plus 10 equals 15x plus your 50. Okay, 42 divided by 7 is, again, the other day we looked at kind of this model here on how to multiply. Okay, and you can kind of do this model with those numbers, or you can work on memorizing the multiplication tables. So 72 divided by 7 is 6, and I need the y. And 49 divided by 7 is 7. So then here we have 6y plus 7. Yeah. All right, here we start putting in some fractions, which we saw a little bit of on page 19. Okay, in lesson 4, starting to introduce some of those fractions. So remember, multiplying by a fraction is the same as dividing. So here we're multiplying by a half, which is the same as dividing by 2. So when I do this area model, I have 8x plus 18. So I need half of 8x. Well, half of 8 is 4, and I don't take like x by itself. I don't take half of x and draw like something like that. I don't do that. Okay, x was just the label on 8, so x is still going to be the label on 4. 18 times a half is 18 divided by 2, which is 9. So you have 4x plus 9. Here we have a half, 6c and 20d. Okay, half, if you have 6 c's, half of them would be 3. If you have 20 d's, half of them would be 10. So you have 3c plus 10d. Okay, here we have a fourth. So that's 1/4, and then 4x 24, kind of set up our own area map here. So 4x divided by 4 would just be x, and 24 divided by 4 would be 6. So you have x plus 6. Again, with the 6's, okay, we can kind of think 6 times what is 24? So again, I think of the dot math. So with 4, you have 4 dots there, and if you have 6 on each, 6 and 6 makes 12. 6 and 6 makes 12. 12 and 12 is 24. So in my head, I'm visualizing where those 6's are going. With division, it's a little bit harder because I actually do the multiplication to get the division, which is fine because they are inverses. This multiplication has 3 factors. 3 times x plus 5 times y minus 2. Pick 2 of the factors, use the area model to multiply them first. So let's just pick the first 2. We have 3, x, and 5. So we have 3 times x is 3x, and we have 3 times 5 is 15. Now, on the previous lesson, I talked about if you had 3 factors, you would be doing a 3-dimensional model, which is correct. Okay, that wasn't wrong, but what an easier way to do that is to draw them out separately. Okay, we can, and the reason that is because we can't. It's hard to draw a 3D model and work with a 3D model on a 2-dimensional surface. So we need to break it apart into certain sections and do a 2-dimensional equation with that. Okay, so now instead of having 3 times x plus 5, I have 3x plus 15 with your y minus 2. Multiply the product from A, so that's this one, by the remaining factor in the original problem to get the final answer. So you have 3x and 15. And you have y negative 2. So you have 3x times y, 3x times y, which is 3xy, 3x times negative 2, which is negative 6x. You have 15 times y, which is 15y, and you have 15 times negative 2, which is negative 30. So in the end, you have 3xy minus 6x plus 15y minus 30. And there's your answer. Area models work well for multiplying 2 factors. If there are more than 2 factors, use more models, 1 model for each multiplication. So we're only doing multiplication by parts, essentially, instead of doing it all at once. If we were able to model a 3D multiplication in real life, we would actually be able to hold it and move it. And then when you get into 4-dimensional and 5-dimensional multiplying, we just can't visualize it because we only live in a 3-dimensional world, but there are objects that live in 4 and 5 and infinite dimensions that we can multiply with. It's just really hard to visualize it because we only live in a 3-dimensional world, which is really, really basic. Use 2 steps to multiply. The second model is sometimes bigger than the first model. Why? Well, when you multiply, you may get more terms. If nothing combines, when you multiply the first, so you could get, when you multiply these 2, you could get up to 4 terms. Okay, so they could be larger and larger and larger. I always like to multiply the first 2 together. So we have x 5, y minus 7. So we have x times y is xy. Y times 5 is 5y. X times negative 7 is negative 7x. And negative 7 times 5 is negative 35. So then we're going to take that answer and multiply it by z and 2. Well, here I have 4 different terms. So I have xy, 5y, negative 7x, negative 35. Okay, so z times xy is xyz. I'll just do this whole first row. Z times 5y is 5yz. Z times negative 7x is negative 7xz. Z times negative 35 is negative 35z. Notice I don't have anything that has the exact same letters in it. So these will all be separate. 2 times xy is 2xy. 2 times 5y is 10y. 2 times 7x is negative 14x. And 2 times negative 35 is negative 70. Okay, so none of these have the exact same letters in it, so I cannot combine like terms. So I just need to write it all out. So I have XYZ plus 5YZ minus 7XZ minus 35Z plus 2XY plus 10Y minus 14X minus 70. Okay. And if I were to take that times another one, it would just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay. So that concludes lesson 5. Okay. The area models with algebra. You should be working through page 24, the additional practice here on lesson 5. Okay, there's a few problems here. I'll be posting the quiz that you can take on lesson 5, and then we'll move on to lesson 6. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me so that I can get those answered. We'll see you in the next lesson.